This GeekWire podcast is brought to you by BECU. Stay tuned to the break as Brian Westbrook interviews BECU's Stacy Black for today's money hack about talking with the children and young adults in your life about money. For more money hacks, check out geekwire.com/BECU. $27.75 grand total after tax was $30.62, and the promise was it would arrive between November 21st and November 25th.
Now we can't wait to see what it's like when it arrives. There's something very old school about waiting 10 days for stuff, which may be really fun because it may actually sort of double the social aspect of it and the gamification, because you really don't know exactly what you're getting.
And there was nothing urgent about what you were shopping for. There was nothing, oh man, I need these screwdrivers in the next day or two because I got something that's broken.
Absolutely. My thought going in was a week or more to get a bunch of crap I don't really need. Like, I'm there. Sign me up. Welcome to GeekWire. I'm GeekWire co-founder Todd Bishop. We are coming to you from Seattle, where we get to report each day on what's happening around us in business, technology, and innovation. What happens here matters everywhere, and every week on this show, we get to talk about some of the most interesting and important trends in the news. This week, Amazon launched a new storefront called Amazon Haul, as in H-A-U-L. It offers an array of items for less than $20 each, much less than $20 for the most part, and the items arrive in 1 to 2 weeks. This goes completely against the grain of the company's larger push for faster and faster shipping times. But it's a long-awaited response from Amazon to Temu and Shein, the discount e-commerce platforms from China that really cater to the TikTok generation that's turned online shopping into something that feels a little more like playing a game. Joining me to talk about Amazon Haul and the larger world of Amazon Prime and Amazon's relationship with consumers are Michael Levin and Josh Lowitz. They are the co-founders of Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, which studies all of these trends and consumer behavior. They also publish some great Substack newsletters on Amazon and Apple, which I highly recommend. Josh and Mike, it's great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Pleased to join you today.
Before we jump into the Amazon news, I follow Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, CIRP, CIRP, and I've followed your reports for many years, and you two have a great Substack that I read very closely. For folks who are not familiar with your firm, can you explain what you do and how you do it, just as a baseline for folks to know where we're getting the data and the insights that you're going to be talking about?
Sure. CIRP, Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, is a market research firm that has focused on trying to develop insights about consumer behavior for investors. That was our original premise. So 12 or more years ago, we started surveying Apple customers about what models they bought. And then pretty quickly thereafter, we started surveying Amazon customers about whether they had a Prime account. And this is when Prime was relatively tiny compared to what it is now. And ever since, we've just kind of built it up and have become, we hope, a little bit of an authority in, again, how consumers are making decisions about what they buy from Amazon, what they buy from Apple, maybe some other subjects. We also have now a bit of a following, or some of a following in industry too. I'm the investor partner in this, the Wall Street guy, and Josh, of course, is our consumer behavior person.
Josh, maybe you can speak to this. Why is Amazon Prime such an interesting topic for you to cover, and what led you down that path?
About 10 years ago, with a colleague in the investment world, we came to the conclusion that this is a real driver of business. So in a world where there was already Costco, where everybody had to be a member, there weren't that many businesses where people took the affirmative step to join something and write a check in advance to be a customer. And we started measuring the numbers. The corollary was that there was clear evidence, market research evidence, that free shipping was the best promotion that any online retailer could offer. So consumers preferred free shipping to 15% discounts that were worth more than the free shipping. So Amazon chose the right hook. And Amazon built a model then that we started tracking where they get people to commit in advance and say, I'm going to be a good customer this year. And then their desire to make that a good investment, to prove that they were right, leads them to shop Amazon first. And we've sort of explored that. When you're an Amazon Prime member, you go to Amazon before you go to Google if you know that you're going to be buying something. And so we started estimating the Amazon Prime population when I think there were 17 million individuals in the US. We don't measure households, we measure people. And we've been updating that estimate annually or quarterly often for years, and now have just under 200 million individuals in the United States. So it's a juggernaut. And then we've taken the analysis deeper, and we have identified how Amazon Prime membership correlates with different kinds of shopping patterns. So shopping more frequently, actually, ironically, shopping, having lower average transaction sizes because you're not worried about hitting minimum orders. We've been doing a fair amount of analysis recently on the Amazon shopping basket. And, traditional retailers talk about a shopping basket because there's a shopping basket.
Like a physical basket. Yeah, right.
Right. And Amazon, the shopping basket, not only doesn't exist, customers sort of don't worry about it because there isn't any major convenience benefit to buying more things at once. Amazon Logistics synthesizes shopping baskets because sometimes people order multiple things and then Amazon delivers them all at once because they can do that. But generally, Amazon shoppers are. We've made the silly analogy that Amazon is really a convenience store. You go in and just grab and go with what you need.
Right, whether it's a little grocery or apparel or
one
TV.
pack of batteries.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Convenience writ large. It's so funny. I exemplify everything that you're saying here. A lot of times I will order so many times over the weekend, 3 or 4 times, and it's just a spur of the moment kind of thing. I'm not thinking about my minimum order. I'm not thinking about hitting a threshold. And I've started to get guilty because there are times when Amazon drivers will show up multiple times a day. So I start doing the Amazon delivery day, my Amazon day, just almost out of default and sort of delaying my shipping gratification, as it were. And to your point, though, Josh, one of the core benefits, in fact, the core benefit of Amazon Prime historically has been fast, free shipping. Emphasis on the fast and the free, but also on the fast. And that's why this week's news struck me as a bit of a man bites dog story, as we would say in the news business, right? It's a little bit counterintuitive because this new store that Amazon launched, Amazon Hall, it's really a rival to Temu and Shein. If I'm pronouncing those two names correctly, I know each of them have different pronunciations. But the whole idea is cheap items, less than $20 each, and sometimes as little as $1 each. But the shipping doesn't happen for a week or 2 in some cases. Why do you think Amazon decided to jump into this realm and this sector of e-commerce?
Just as an aside, on the app, it says it's a beta. So who knows whether we're going to be ordering from Hall months or years from now. Also, interestingly, there's a $25 minimum order for free shipping, and then there are incentives to make bigger orders. So there are sort of rebates or discounts if you spend over 50 and 75. What are they doing? It's a really good question. I think that Temu and Shein are annoying potential competitors, and that even if you aren't going to stop them from doing what they do, you don't necessarily have to let them progress unfettered in their march into your territory. Now, there's a lot of overlap in shoppers based on analysis we've done. There's less overlap in what people buy. Temu feels a little bit more like Amazon Hall with stuff for around the house, knickknacks and slippers and things like that it can be produced very inexpensively, and they're not kind of high commitment purchases. You're not, I think it's a joke that people tend not to buy things that they might plug in from Temu because they may not be excited about what happens when they plug them in. But and Shein, obviously, it's reason for being is fashion to start. So I think that Amazon just doesn't want to let them, Michael Jordan is going to score on you, but you don't get out of the way.
Right. And there's, again, we study Amazon consumers and then indirectly study Amazon, but we have enough experience with Amazon to know how just voraciously competitive they are. Yeah. And there's some, there's cultural attributes to that for Amazon. But we also do know that there is, we start to see a lot of overlap. There's huge overlap between, people who shop at Walmart and Amazon. The two are complements to each other. They're not exclusive. Okay. Same thing with, Chewy, something that we've studied in the past. A lot of people do both. And Amazon, being a good retailer, micromanages its margins and so forth very closely. And they don't want to give up too much to these overlapping competitors. Okay. So, Amazon also has this, culture of experimentation. Josh mentioned this is in beta. So there's a chance that, this won't get very far. Okay. But at least for now, there's this, we could tell there's this sentiment that if, Temu and Shane are out there and we know that there's, some overlap between what they do and what we do, we want to at least try out and sort of see if there's something that we can do that will help our customers stay within our website and initially go to the other one. They don't want to ever be in a position of not having tried to put something together.
And to your point, in terms of the competition, and I'm going to struggle here with what to say. I did like a pronunciation YouTube thing to look it up. At any rate, what I would call Temu or Temu.
I think Temu.
Temu. Okay. They are projected at least next year to reach about 2.3% of the U.S. market by eMarketer of e-commerce, which is not huge, but it's also not insignificant when you think about the realm of e-commerce.
Pretty good. Right.
Yes. And by the way, it was interesting, and Josh, just one minor rabbit hole. You earlier were talking about the total number of Prime customers that you track. And for folks out there who are wonky about this stuff, somebody might say, wait a second, didn't Amazon pass 200 million customers a while ago? But I want to remind folks, that is the worldwide number.
Oh, yeah, Amazon's disclosed, yes.
That Amazon has disclosed of Prime members. And members in Amazon's definition can include households that share a Prime membership. You are tracking individual U.S. Prime members, if I'm understanding correctly.
Thank you for that. Yes. Amazon, and this is where I read their financial filings pretty closely. Amazon gets a little squirrely about what they disclose about Prime and what kind of detail and so forth. They don't really ever put anything about Prime in their SEC, in their financial filings. It's usually just in a news release or an earnings release. And about I'm going to say maybe 5 years ago, last time they even disclosed a Prime membership number, it was 200 members, over 200 million members globally. And at that point, our estimate of U.S. customers was, I think, in the 140, 150, it was somewhat lower. So we felt a little validated that our number was pretty good.
Yeah, you clearly was tracking correctly. And by the way, and the financial filings are interesting. Amazon does shield this stuff. I want to get back to the consumer behavior in just a second, but as long as I've gone down this rabbit hole, go ahead.
Yeah, Amazon is famous for news releases that say things like, "We shipped the most packages we've ever shipped."
Yes,
which is not a number. Or on Prime Day, we sold billions of orders.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and their news releases. Their news releases have a lot of bullet points. Dozens of. This is what we did with Prime this quarter.
Yes.
But none of it for the investor community. It's hard to model against that stuff. Yeah. So anyway.
That thing we didn't tell you before, we beat it by a record amount this time, and we're not telling you again.
Right. Multiples of the unknown number.
Right, that thing we didn't disclose.
There is one line item, and actually we've exchanged emails about this in the past as you were helping me with some reporting that I was doing and I was digging into some of your research. There's this one line item, it's a footnote in Amazon's quarterly and annual filings that give this subscription revenue, which includes annual and monthly fees associated with Amazon Prime memberships, as well as digital video, audiobook, digital music, ebook, and other non-AWS subscription services. So it's not precisely Amazon Prime, but it's something in the realm. And at least in 2023, it represented about $40 billion, that line item did.
Oh, yeah, right. The subscriptions, exactly.
The subscriptions, which is about 6.9% of Amazon's overall revenue or net sales.
There are analysts that use that number to try to that's how some analysts use that number to try to estimate Prime membership count.
Yes. Okay.
They try to back into it. They kind of model a little bit about what a Prime membership costs. But there's other things in that number besides Prime membership. That's predominantly Prime membership fees.
Right.
But there's all sorts of other stuff that they can chunk into there. So it's another good way to try to get your arms around this. But we like our way. We like talking to customers,
talking to people.
Agreed. And I want to get into that in just a second. But just the point is about roughly 7% or less of Amazon's overall revenue comes from Prime, which again is relatively significant, and it's something that they don't have a ton of costs. Well, that's not true.
Well, actually, it's funny because at Costco, in theory, membership revenue is profit,
right?
And retail operations are a break-even business. At Amazon, the model is a little different because not us, but other analysts have kind of done the math and said that Amazon Prime kind of pays for the shipping that you bought.
Right.
So at Amazon, you wouldn't look at the 7% and say like, oh, that should be their net income. But that's actually, it's an expense shield sort of more than it's a profit source.
This is fascinating. Okay, so thanks for going down that rabbit hole with me. I want to get back to the consumer behavior that's driving this latest feature. And let's do that when we come back. You're listening to GeekWire, and we will be right back. This GeekWire podcast is brought to you by BECU. Stay tuned as Brian Westbrook interviews BECU's Stacy Black for today's Money Hack about talking with the children and young adults in your life about money. And for more money hacks, check out geekwire.com/BECU.
Why is it important to talk to children and young adults about their financial goals? I'm Brian Westbrook. In Money Hacks presented by BECU, we'll talk about what parents can do to help educate their children. And Stacy Black is the lead financial educator for BECU. What tips would you have for parents?
I would say start early, and it's never early enough. The sooner we get started, the more we're going to position our children for bright financial futures. So having those conversations, being open, honest, just talking through everyday spending and finances with our kids is important.
It's important for them to know that just because you can walk up to an ATM, that doesn't mean there's an unlimited supply of cash.
Yep. It's not free money, which I thought it was.
Man, I'm learning a lot. Well, you can learn a lot more on this episode of Money Hacks. Check out geekwire.com/BECU. I'm Brian Westbrook.
Listen to the full interview and find more episodes of Money Hacks at geekwire.com/BECU and find more information at becu.org. Welcome back. It's Todd Bishop. We are talking this week about a new Amazon offering called Amazon Hall and how it plays into the larger picture of Amazon's business and Amazon Prime. My guests this week are Michael Levin and Josh Lowitz of Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, who keep a close eye on Amazon Prime. So I know one of the things that both of you do is look at the demographics and the ages of Amazon Prime members, especially in the US. And I'm wondering what you see in those trends and whether what I assume is a younger demographic that would use these kinds of discount shopping sites like Amazon Hall might be part of what's going on here, like a push for a younger consumer.
So when we first started assessing Amazon and looking at Prime membership, it tended to be younger, but that was in like 2013, 2014, like more than 10 years ago, when younger customers were the ones that were much more savvy to like kind of buy in from Amazon in the first place. Okay. And then very quickly, Amazon Prime just exploded and, it was growing at double digit rates, mid to high, really high rates for many years. And then it kind of plateaued for a little bit. And then, so we saw this this trend toward a much more broader, as we say in the market research bridge, general population kind of demographic, where, you know, Amazon with touching, you know, almost every U.S. consumer and with, you know, close to 200 million customers having Prime memberships, it started looking a lot more like just the U.S. adult population after starting out younger. And then kind of a little more recently, we've started to see the Prime membership has started to trend toward a little back to younger in terms of newer members. And also in terms of its geographic or sort of cultural, as you will. I mean, Amazon originally and Prime, of course, was highly urban. And when we first started, I mean, delivery was hard to some parts of the country. But, you know, we kind of followed Amazon building out their logistics network, and sort of growing their business. And we track urban versus rural versus suburban kind of demographics. And in that respect, too, it has started to resemble sort of the U.S. You know, there's other things about income and so forth, but those were two significant trends, at least, that we were starting to see.
Mike's right about the demographics. And we recently did some analysis, and we're intrigued to see that that as Amazon uses its logistics prowess to become better at delivering outside of urban and even suburban areas, the customers are following. So in prior years, it took a day longer for a lot of people outside of urban and suburban areas to get shipping. Those of us who live in urban areas take it for granted that, you know, it'll be here tomorrow, or, you know, it's a long time, it'll
today,
be here in 2 days, right? Or maybe it'll be here today. But I think it's a chicken and the egg question. Are there more people shopping because the shipping is faster, or is the shipping faster because they can do it because more people are shopping? I think we tend to think that upping the offer translates into more of that convenience shopping that we talked about before. And even though a lot of the convenience shoppers are accepting 4-day shipping to get delivery on their delivery day, it's still super convenient. And as much as people love free, fast shipping, not everything needs to be here tomorrow. And you sort of train yourself a little bit. So where you might have ordered something today because you needed it tomorrow, now you may anticipate the need for batteries a day in advance and be able to get them on your delivery day.
Did you see that video? It was probably 10 years ago now. It was a spoof called Amazon Yesterday Shipping, where something shows up.
I think I remember that.
Something shows up, and they're like, I didn't order this. And the delivery person says, no, you're going to order it tomorrow.
Right, yes. I remember that.
That's probably Amazon's AI dream. You know, they dabbled in things like a scale to keep your dog food on.
Yes.
And the scale would know when you were running low on dog food and order more. So
right, so automatically.
Yeah, I find it entertaining, though I could soon find it annoying when our devices, our smart speakers say, I should know the exact phrase because I've heard it so many times. According to your shopping history, we think it might be time to reorder.
Oh, they are
paper
so
towel.
Good. They are so good. There is one product in our household that they are extremely good at predicting, which is cat food. IAM's cat food. And like they say it, Alexa says it. I look down in the cabinet, there's 3 left. You know, there's 3.
Right.
There's 3 packets left. And Alexa just saved me a very painful evening with our cat Snuggles.
With a hungry cat, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you probably remember what were the buttons called? The dash buttons?
Yes. And
you used to put a button on your laundry room.
Yes.
Yeah,
order more detergent.
Yeah.
And, right. So
out here in our GeekWire history wall, we have a Play-Doh dash button where you pressed it and it was pre-programmed to order Play-Doh. That was from our kids' earlier years. And I have to tell you, I admit I still have one of those scales. I tested it out. It's somewhere at my house. And that whole idea of just sensing the weight, and it made more sense, I think, in an office setting when you had office supplies. Somebody wasn't paying attention. Oh, we're down to 1 ream of paper, and the scale sensed it and reordered it. Or printer cartridges when they sense that the ink is low. I think that makes more sense to me than a consumer setting, frankly.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Getting back to Amazon Haul, am I wrong or right in that assumption that the demographic is younger? Because it feels like a video game
Oh, yeah,
almost to play
absolutely.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It is very much, I hadn't thought of it, but it really is almost a game. And it's certainly kind of social. I know that my daughter and her friends will gang together to place a Temu order or something because nobody needs $25 worth of that stuff, but one person needs slippers and another one needs doorstops. And it's fun because there is sort of a game aspect to it. I have to do a little more looking at Amazon Haul. It has I think, sort of a limited search function. So it's a little more of a voyage of discovery. And it's kind of like social shopping a little bit. It's a little more like shopping on TikTok or Instagram than it is like shopping at Amazon.
Right. Right. And the younger demographic, again, Amazon, when we started focusing on it, was pretty young. But, Amazon understands the way that Apple and many other people is that, these kind of shopping habits get developed early. And so the idea that Temu and Chain may be capturing some of these, people in their 20s and getting them accustomed, and Amazon's not getting those or not having as much of a crack at those people would just irk the crap out of some of the marketers there. So that's another reason that, that's another rationale for Haul is this demographic one that you quite properly started focusing on.
Okay, so I did try Haul out on
you
Thursday
did?
night. I did. Okay, so and I want to tell you about that.
What'd you get?
Let me tell you about that when we come
Okay.
back. All right, you're listening to GeekWire, and we will be right back. Welcome back. It's Todd Bishop. We're talking about Amazon Prime and Amazon's new Haul. And my guests this week are Michael Levin and Josh Lowitz from Consumer Intelligence Research Partners. If you don't subscribe already to their Substack, I highly recommend it. We'll link to it from the show notes. It's just rich with data and information from the actual consumer research, people that they and their colleagues talk to figure out what's actually happening out there. So it's genuine stuff, and I always learn something from it. Okay, I did try out Amazon Haul. And to your point, to your point, Mike.
How is the experience?
Okay, so first off, it's mobile only.
Right.
You have to use it on the app, and it's not obvious when you first go into the app. You have to get to it, you either scan a QR code because you've inadvertently gone to the PC first, or you type Haul into the search bar and it comes up. And the first thing that I was struck by was clearly they were not using any of my browsing history. Not at all. Or my shopping history, that it was not plugged into Prime to the point of what you both study. Like my consumer behavior was not being taken into account in what they showed me. There was like a wrist strap for weightlifting. I mean, look at me. There was a $499 silicone dish drying mat, like a decorative outdoor throw pillow for $299.
Okay.
And
Great.
so I was like, none of this I want. At one point, it's almost like a women's lingerie thing that they served up. It was a seamless underwear, like for women. They did not know who I was for purposes of Amazon Haul. Okay.
That must have been like a little refreshing for us, or at least amusing.
Yes. For once, somebody wasn't targeting me based on my past behavior online.
Right.
It's somewhat reminiscent of another Amazon non-targeted business, which they bought, which is Woot.
Right.
Where again, it's a voyage of discovery. And I think that is truly unsearchable. I think you can only go into a category and say, like, what do they have in electronics today? And you see what the closeouts are, or the refurbs, or the something somebody wants to sell at an aggressive price. So it's very different, obviously, because the things at Woot are not $2.99. But there may be a behavioral parallel. So, but tell us more about Haul.
Yeah, so I was able to go in. I searched, my first search term was tech, whatever, and the first thing that came up was a tech carrying case. So here's what I got. Based on searching, I had to search, and then it started to surface things were relevant. A $1.99 6-pack of adjustable cable organizers, like for the side of your desk, an $8.79. I mean, random prices. $8.79 pair of mesh zipper pouches for office supplies. That one was weird. That seemed a little overpriced, frankly.
Yeah,
I was going to say that seems expensive.
Yeah, a $3.99 desktop cell phone stand, $6.99 small screwdriver set, and a $5.99 electronic cable organizer and accessory carrying case. Like the kind of thing that you would put a bunch of little dongles in. So that added up to $27.75 as my subtotal.
So you bought all that?
I bought all of it. Free shipping. So I got past the 25. Right. And so it's, as you're going along, it's telling you just a few more and you get your $25 for free shipping. And then once you hit the $25, it says, oh, if you only got to $50, you would get an additional discount. So it's completely gamified to get you there. So $27.75 grand total after tax was $30.62. And the promise was it would arrive between November 21st and November 25th. Are you ready? Did I sell you on haul?
Yeah, you sold us, but now we can't wait to see what it's like when it arrives. There's something very old school about waiting 10 days for stuff, which may be really fun because it may actually sort of double the social aspect of it and the gamification, because you really don't know exactly what you're getting.
And there was nothing urgent about what you were shopping for. There was nothing, oh man, I need these screwdrivers in the next day or two because I got something that's broken.
Absolutely. My thought going in was a week or more to get a bunch of crap I don't really need. Like, I'm there. Sign me up.
Yeah, but when we were kids, you waited for stuff and it was exciting when it arrived. Now, actually, it's expected and you're getting pinged on your phone that it's 10 stops away. So it's more.
You come home and there's 2 boxes that you sort of knew was. So
you knew they were there. You probably saw it on your phone. There was probably a picture of them on your front porch. So we've lost a little bit of the romance, maybe, and maybe this is bringing some of it back. And this brings me back to my daughter's experience as a college senior last year, when she and her friends placed a Temu order, because it was entertaining to figure out what each of them wanted to get. And then the anticipation built. And then it was because you have no idea what you're getting, you sort of, I'm reminded of the scene in Spinal Tap when the 18-inch Stonehenge comes down over the stage. When you order from Temu, you wonder, like, am I getting an 18-foot Stonehenge or an 18-inch Stonehenge?
Right.
Well, and to your point, Josh, it's going to be so long getting here. I don't know if I'm going to remember everything that I order.
Absolutely. Right. Which makes it yet another sort of moment of joy.
Well, let me make a point here, though. You can be quite sure that all the stuff we've talked about, Amazon has thought about. We don't need to say how we know this, but we know that Amazon has delved very deeply into this kind of behavior and these kind of structures and so forth. So when they launch something like this, like Hall, a lot of it's very deliberate, very much on purpose, in ways that they've thought about and studied. It may not necessarily succeed, but it's as far from scattered or random or just arbitrary as you can imagine.
To your point, I start thinking about the Sears catalog, and I was going to joke that maybe they'll go there next, but actually they already do send out holiday catalogs. And I mean, we, at least here in Seattle, we get Amazon catalogs. I don't know if you get them out there in Chicago as well.
Yeah. A holiday gift guide. Yeah.
Is it like a hard copy, like a paper printed thing?
Yes, in the mail.
It's a magazine format. It feels like something you might have gotten from Macy's or Nordstrom or something, but with an Amazon product mix.
We have to buy more from Amazon. I want to say we're not as good customers as you two.
You're not a good enough Prime member, Mike.
No. I will confess, as someone who studies and relies on Amazon in so many ways, I don't buy as much from there as I probably should.
Are you a Walmart shopper?
We're a Target family, kind of.
You're a Target family. You admitted that with a little bit of trepidation in acknowledging that.
I don't know. We try to shop local. We try not to buy stuff. We're at the age we want to get rid of stuff instead of bringing more stuff into the house. But yeah.
Let me take you on a slightly different path here, because I know that you also pay attention to Alexa and specifically Echo devices and how they're being used in particular, and whether they're being used for timers or all sorts of things. And one of the things that I've noticed is just how much Alexa has become kind of an inferior experience for me over the past 6 months to a year, not because it's gotten worse, but because things like ChatGPT and their conversational abilities have gotten so much better. I've had conversations about this with folks at Amazon, and I realize that there are specific challenges that happen because of some of the silos in the Echo devices. But I'm curious, in your research at all, do you see demand for more conversational abilities from Echo speakers than Alexa is offering today, or what are your thoughts on that?
We don't ask questions about like desire for conversationalness, but we do ask people what they do with the devices. And we haven't seen the devices deliver on the promise. There are a lot of people listening to music and listening to the radio. There are a lot of people setting timers and alarms. It's the clock radio now.
Not as many as music and audio entertainment, but objectively a decent number.
Setting alarms.
Yeah. There's some querying, but a lot of it is what's the weather? Maybe what are the headlines? And then there's of the futuristic cases that we sort of all dreamed about, the most likely one is turn on the light. Because the setup for being a smart light family is pretty modest. There's diminishing amounts of, is the door locked? Change the thermostat.
Right, controlling your smart home is theoretically a really interesting and potentially lucrative use case that just is underplayed.
So Alexa is a $99 or Echo is a $99 light switch in some cases.
Not even $99.
It's probably, for a lot of people it's $29, and it's a clock radio for more people than it is even a light switch.
Interesting.
The one use case that we started tracking early on, because we thought it was squarely in what Amazon was trying to achieve, is how much commerce would happen, how much buying would happen. And Amazon had commercials. Amazon order flowers, Amazon bring Domino's pizza or whatever.
Right.
Almost non-existent. And my guess is that it was just too hard to try to really meet people's, consumers' commercial needs to when they buy stuff to get exactly the right stuff. So you could say, I got this list, please put more paper towel on it. Or maybe you could say, you remember the paper towel I bought last time, please order me another batch. But in terms of like, hey, I'd like a pizza, half pepperoni, all mushroom, and I need it here in an hour. Alexa, I think the technology would kind of fail. It wasn't that people didn't want to do it, but it wasn't there, and you couldn't train people to do something that they were going to be unhappy with.
And it's a less efficient customer experience. The same way we see people using their alarm panel instead of talking to their smart device to say arm the alarm is because there's a keypad that's really easy to use, and they hit one button and the alarm is armed, and they don't wait to get the confirmation back and whatever. And shopping is it's a high bandwidth information exchange. The amount of information you're sharing, checking, and receiving when you go to the shopping cart and then the checkout page at Amazon is significant. And to talk all of that information is not as efficient as it is to look at your shopping cart on your phone. Now, a question for you, Todd: when your device says, "We think it may be time to order more cat food," do you say yes and put it in the shopping cart and buy it, or do you go to your phone and buy it?
Exactly, the latter. And frankly, more likely my computer, because I'm walking up to my home office in a few minutes after that, and I might as well just call up Amazon.com in the browser, and I'd rather see it. And maybe I'm old school, but I'd rather make sure that I'm not missing something on my small screen.
If you feel like you're not getting enough information buying it on your phone, imagine how little information you're getting talking to an Echo device.
Right.
So I completely agree. And, maybe I'm too price conscious, but I want to make sure that it's absolutely the right price. And, and sometimes on something like that, if you buy the the 60-ounce one, it costs this, but the 90-ounce one costs the same. And, so the reminder works. But Mike is right. We're just not seeing people talking to their device to buy something.
So this is where I sometimes have to remind myself that I'm such an outlier on this stuff, and my desires in terms of technology are not necessarily mainstream. And this is where the research actually helps. But like what I want from Alexa is Her before it got creepy. The movie Her, where she was just super helpful.
Yeah,
the assistant was just super, super helpful. And that's what I want to have. And the problem is, though, you probably want that on your phone, not just the Echo device. So it feels like Amazon has a slice of that use case, but
they could do a lot better. Right?
But they could do a lot better.
Joanna Stern in the Wall Street Journal referenced a really good use of AI on a smart speaker, which resonated for me, which was talking you through cooking a recipe.
Yes.
So like that makes sense. That's a better way to get that information. But it's going to take a really smart system because it has to have the right ability for you to say, pause, repeat, how many tablespoons, it needs to, for it really to work, it needs to behave like, your aunt would if she was helping you make your first bread. It's like, it needs to be context sensitive and super familiar with all the nuance and what you might be asking about and what you mean when you ask the phrase this casually. So,
yes.
But we're a long way from that.
Especially with Alexa.
Okay. So before I let you both go, I'd love to just get your overall take. How would you describe the state of the consumer's relationship with Amazon in 2024? What would be the highlights you would give or the things that would just stand out?
The median consumer is generally pretty pleased. Amazon has broken so many norms and redefined what it means to be a retailer. And we're talking about the retail part of Amazon, not Amazon Web Services, not even as much like their entertainment division, which is, consumers are going to think of their entertainment, video, sort of the same way they think of Apple Plus or TV Plus and so forth. But their core retail, which is still how most U.S. adults experience Amazon, okay? The median adult's pretty happy. Amazon's gotten them comfortable with delayed gratification. When they used to go to a store, they take something home. They've got them comfortable with not being able to touch and feel something because of all the ratings and so forth. They've gotten people comfortable with the idea of maybe paying a little bit for shipping, but getting over the obstacle of just the economics of shipping. They've gotten them over the obstacle of how to return stuff. Okay, Amazon has completely redefined how adults kind of think about buying things. And for that reason, there's all sorts of we can criticize about, what kind of it's a huge company and my kids hate the place because it's the big evil Amazon, but they still shop there and so do we. So, yeah. I don't know what you think, Josh, but.
No, I think you're right. And I think that long ago we said that Amazon has created a better buying platform than shopping platform, because it's not so easy to choose between things that you don't know you want at Amazon. But a lot of procurement is buying, not shopping. It's a lot of replenishment, or if the New York Times hadn't bought and blown up Wirecutter, Amazon would have had to invent Wirecutter.
And they kind of did.
With their reviews?
With their ratings.
Yeah, but not with the same authority. Because
the same independence, yeah.
Independence and authority. So Wirecutter tells you what to buy, and your shopping energy you do on Wirecutter or their competitors. There are other platforms that are good advisors. GeekWire may recommend a technology item from time to time, and
I think so.
And then you go to Amazon to buy it because Amazon is the buying platform,
right?
And it's great, and they built it to work, and it does.
Yeah. So that's the answer to the question. A top of mind answer to the question: what's the relationship between consumers and Amazon retail these days? And it's pretty good.
And is there one thing they could fix that Amazon could fix that would make that relationship even better?
They're a little opaque at times about how they, at least to really smart shoppers. but they have thousands and thousands of people that are every day trying to figure out how can we make this a little bit easier for people. So it's not easy to try to figure out real soft spots there.
We know what they want to get better at, and they've succeeded in lots of places where success was accessible. Groceries is really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
And it's unclear what level of dominance, if any, they'll really achieve there. And groceries is an interesting business because it's a shopping and buying enterprise. And Amazon's good for buying and less good for shopping. So it may be that it's a little off for them.
Hall might be another foray into figure out if we can help people shop better.
Well, Michael Levin and Josh Lowitz, thank you very much from Consumer Intelligence Research Partners. I really appreciate you jumping on.
Thank you.
Thrilled to do this. A fun conversation. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. And I will link from the show notes to their Substack, so be sure to check that out. Thanks for listening, everybody. Curt Milton edited this episode. I'm GeekWire co-founder Todd Bishop, and we will be back next week with a new episode of the GeekWire podcast.